comments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the gentleman from Idaho, Mr. Labrador, for yielding. And I thank the gentleman from Minnesota for his kind remarks about my ads, which I know there weren't many positive ads running in the Duluth market, but I did have one, so I appreciate that, Mr. Nolan, and thank you for your support of what is a very important bill for folks in northern Wisconsin. I have a picture of what this actual lighthouse looks like right off the community of Ashland. This bill, H.R. 4049, is the bill that will transfer the Ashland Breakwater light from the Coast Guard to the National Park Service. Now, this lighthouse has stood here for over 100 years, standing strong on the shores of Lake Superior, in dark nights and in storms, guiding our ships safe passage to our harbor, but also welcoming back travelers who have left the greater Ashland community and then on their way home. I had a chance to live in Ashland for 10 years, raising my children. My second-born son was born there, and I think my third, fourth, and fifth were born there as well. I lose count after a while. But it's a great community, and this lighthouse is a big part of our identity in Ashland. But right now, the lighthouse has an uncertain future because the Coast Guard has indicated several times, but most recently in 2012, that they're going to give up management of the lighthouse. And so no public entity aside from the National Park Service and the Apostle Island National Lakeshore have stepped forward and indicated that they would obtain and maintain this very important lighthouse in our community. Absent this legislation, there's no guarantee that this historic lighthouse would be maintained and that it would continue to operate and be accessible for educational purposes. H.R. 4049 will allow the Apostle Island National Lakeshore to maintain the lighthouse alongside, as Mr. Nolan mentioned, and I think Mr. Labrador, 8 other lighthouses that they now currently maintain. Just a little trip down history lane. In 1986, the Coast Guard transferred 8 of these lighthouses to the Park Service, but they didn't transfer this one. All we're doing right now is saying, let's redraw that line and include this one with the other 8, so the Park Service can now manage this lighthouse as well. If I was looking at this bill, I might say, well, I have a concern if I'm a fisherman or I'm a boater who might use the waters outside the lighthouse. I can guarantee you that the way this is written and the way the line is drawn, that there will be no additional rules or regulations coming from the feds that are going to affect your ability to fish or boat right around the lighthouse. So we've adequately addressed that concern. And in this House, to have so many different folks come together, people across the aisle who share a border and share a lake, but also share a love for the environment and all it has to offer. We also have the National Park Service who supports this bill, the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, the U.S. Coast Guard, the Wisconsin DNR, the Wisconsin Historical Society, the Ashland Chamber of Commerce, which is very important, the City of Ashland, and a lot of our local outdoor recreational community. So with that, I'd ask and urge the passage of H.R. 4049, and I want to thank everyone for their support for what is a very important bill to my community in northern Wisconsin. With that, I yield back.